exercise across the country, and we begin now with a tale of two Sams, Sam Gituku and Sam Ogina. Sam Gituku is in Migori, Sam Ogina is in Migori, and of course we're going to kick off with Sam Gituku, where he's in Migori. Of course, earlier on at about 5 a.m. as he was doing his rounds, it was not clear about the polling centers. They're not opened. There are 597 polling stations in 8 constituencies. Let's link up with him to give us an update. Gituku?
Well, good morning, fellow Sams. As you said, you're coming to you from Muslim Primary School here in Suna East constituency. This is one of the polling stations within the town. This is one of the main constituencies, or rather one of the main constituencies here in the county that has also attracted a tight race pitting between the incumbent Junet Mohammed and former Member of Parliament John Pesa. But essentially where we are, the polling has not yet begun. It's about 6:25. The process is yet to kick off, but there's an explanation to that, because we were just a few moments ago, we had visited the constituency distribution center, which also serves the 2 constituencies, that is Suna East and West. We visited and we saw the materials, the poll materials being distributed to various presiding officers who are to be sent out of the county. So the pictures that we saw indicated the presiding officers as well as their assistants and also the security officers getting to collect the materials that they need. That is to do with the ballot papers, do with the ballot boxes, and also other materials, for instance, the lighting equipment that they will need later in the evening when they start to do their counting and also tallying. But what you understand is that preference has been given, the priority has been given to those polling stations that are far from these distribution centers. That is to mean that Muslim Primary School, which is just next to the distribution center, cannot receive the polling materials yet. They'll have to wait a little longer so that at least those polling stations that are far away from this location can be served first. But also important to note here, Aburu, is that across this county there are about 597 polling stations which will be participating in the voting this morning, starting this morning until sometimes at 5 o'clock, to go and decide who will be the flag bearer for the various positions, all the way from the member of county assembly to woman representative, to the member of parliament, to the senator, and also the governorship, which has also been a very tight race. And out of those 597 or other polling stations, we have tried to find out how many registered voters will be participating in this election, because we realize that according to the Elections Act, as amended in 2016, it requires that only members who are, or only citizens who are members of a political party to participate in nominating a candidate for their party. But now what we understand is that that register is not so clear from the ODM side, and so there's a fallback plan to use the IEBC register so as to confirm who is a member in the ODM party list versus the register of the IEBC. But of course this is something to be very categorical and keen to identify, to establish which register essentially is being used to see who is identified to vote at what location, so that at least you can see how compliant the party is in terms of the regulations, the laws that guide this process. But it also will be very keen to look at the major politicians. For instance, the governor's race. We'll be moving on to see where the governor will be voting at. We'll be moving to see where the number one, the next front runner, that is the former sports minister, Ochilo Ayako, will be voting. That is why we'll be moving to see how that process goes, and also their reaction, their feeling about the entire process, because as you have seen from previous instances, there have been challenges with the distribution of materials. How different will that be come here in Migori County? Of course, this is a situation that we'll be monitoring. As soon as we are done with this link, we'll be moving to those areas in different constituencies. Rabulu.
Thank you very much. That's Sam Gituku. He is in Migori, and he says, of course, polling has started, that they're going to keep a vigil there. Of course, in the meantime, it's important to note that the IBC asks political parties to use their membership registers and not the IBC voter register, because it's not yet cleaned up, because the cleanup of the poll of voters will be open for the public inspection from the 10th of May. Let's now link up with Sam Ogina. Sam Ogina is in Homer Bay and also brings us an update from the region there. Sam, how's the voting started, and what is going on where you are?
Well, thank you so much, Willis Sabura, the Communication Center. We are coming to you from Homer Bay Primary School, one of the polling centers. One out of the 816 polling centers here in Homer Bay County, spread across 8 constituencies. 30 minutes into the anticipated time when voting should have begun here in Homa Bay County. Still at Homa Bay Primary School, there is no polling materials yet to arrive. Already people streaming in, just being shocked at the delay that has been occasioned here. I remember that Homa Bay Primary School isn't so far off from the distribution center, and by yesterday we had an assurance from the polling agents, or rather the election officials of ODM in Homa Bay County, that everything is in good place. They were verifying the polling materials, and by midnight they are supposed to beg your pardon, to start distributing polling materials to various polling centers. But as for now, not yet any arrival of any polling agents or even polling materials. I remember that in Homa Bay County the contest here is actually quite competitive, given that ODM is the actually party to watch here in Homa Bay County. It is the bedrock of ODM in Homa Bay County, and the contest here will be looking at the governorship, given that Cyprian Awiti, who is the incumbent, is eyeing to actually defend his seat on an ODM ticket, already facing stiff opposition from Kasipul Member of Parliament, Mr. Magwanga, as well as business people here like Enosh Bolo and Samuel Kiaga. Of course, we'll also be looking at different parliamentary seats that will be creating interest, and in Homa Bay County and Homa Bay Town, to be quite specific, we'll be looking at Peter Opondo Kaluma vying against, he is the incumbent really, and he'll be vying against Washington Ogaga. The two have been embroiled in combats here and there, and actually they've been fined by the ODM disciplinary committee, a fine of 100,000 for engaging in a public brawl over the contestation of Homa Bay County seat, parliamentary seat. Of course, we'll also be looking at the chairmanship of ODM, that is John Mbadi. John Mbadi will be squaring it out with former Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, that is Karoli Omondi. The two in Suba constituency also engaging in a stiff competition and neck-to-neck competition. As we are being informed, it's being described as a statistical dead heat, given that the two are enjoying almost equal support, and coming from the same actually stronghold, given that their neighbors like 3 or so kilometers apart, and given the interest that this ticket is actually generating, Mbadi and Karoli Omondi have engaged in somewhat violent confrontation. Their supporters engaging in somewhat violent confrontation, and yesterday we are getting information, or we were informed by the Deputy County Commissioner in Suba constituency or Suba sub-county that supporters of John Mbadi yesterday in a center called Gwenye, if I'm not wrong, disrupted, or rather went haywire as members of, or rather aspirants, were trying just to put up their final submissions to their electorates as this day beckons. So we'll be keeping you posted what transpires here. So far, as you can see, just a gathering of people wondering what is happening, when the polling material will arrive. Of course, we'll be keeping you posted on what transpires here. It is a race that will be actually shaping the structure of Homa Bay County, given that if you garner the ticket of ODM, you are good as elected here, and that's why the ODM nominations in Homa Bay County, in Luo Nyanza, actually elicit a lot of excitement, elicit a lot of stiff competition, and that's why when you get an ODM ticket, you're good as elected. You can stay back, lay back, but then again, it also depends on how the whole nomination exercise is conducted, given that lessons from 2013, when those who lost in the nominations exercise say that it was bungled the way it was handled in 2013. Some of them defected from ODM and went to win on other parties, and so, well, it will depend on how the whole situation is handled. People streaming in one by one, already anxiety building up, but still people being patient, saying that they will await for the arrival of ballot materials. But of course there will be an explanation why the ballot materials are late, given that they were dispatched from the headquarters in Nairobi, and not far from here is the distribution center. So Will Saburu will be keeping you posted, of course, where the Governor Cyprian Awiti will be casting his ballot. We'll be following that up to you, and just to get his feeling of how the whole process has been planned, given that this whole exercise that was supposed to take place on Friday was moved to Monday. So this means that there was sufficient time for planning this whole exercise, and also we'll be getting to know where his opponents will be casting their ballot and just have a feel of how the competition here is in Homa Bay County. So to our viewers, we'll be keeping you posted on the pulse of Homa Bay County as everything here transpires. Of course, we'll be giving you comprehensive coverage here from Homa Bay County. Willis, back to you at the Communication Center.
All right, thank you very much. Sam Magina is in Homa Bay. Like I said, he's going to keep a finger on the pulse of the county, and we at Citizen TV are keeping a finger on the pulse of the nation as well, even as we bring you a comprehensive coverage of the nomination exercise. Like we said earlier, our teams across the country will continue to link up with them. I want to take a short break. When we return, Charles Nyambo is going to bring you the news review. We'll be looking at, of course, the nominations and other news that are making headlines as well. So keep it Citizen TV. Remember, the hashtag is for breakfast. The SMS line is 22422. Good morning.